we begin in Los Angeles. We're going to start in Los Angeles with what happened on Friday during the Lakers-Memphis game. Not so much the actual game,
Right.
but the extracurricular fun that happened surrounding that game. If you are just finding this out via Road Trippin because you're an avid listener and don't really pay attention to the NBA, we'll just get you caught up real quick. During Memphis Lakers on Friday, the Lakers did end up winning 122-121. Shannon Sharpe, who we have talked about on this podcast, Richard had a moment with Shannon Sharpe over the summer, which was very professionally and respectfully handled. Obviously, very big in the media space, but his resume as a football player speaks for itself. Okay, we're just going to leave it at that.
Yeah.
He was going back and forth with the Grizzlies. Started with Dillon Brooks, then went to Ja, then went to Ja's father. And then all of a sudden, Steven Adams is a part of this mix.
Yeah.
But the trash talk escalated at halftime. It was then squashed by the end of the third quarter between Ja's dad, T, and Shannon Sharpe. Shannon then went on his show with Skip Bayless yesterday and did a monologue apologizing to everyone, including his stylist, LeBron, the organization with the Lakers, the Grizzlies, Dillon Brooks, Ja, etc. I just want to know what your take was on all this. We had a lot of fun with it in the studio. It was going on. You can imagine Geeter was hosting at halftime, our friend Geeter, and he was awesome. I thought the quote from Shannon to Dave McMenamin was hilarious at the time, basically saying that they didn't want none of this smoke.
Do you see how big he is?
Which one?
Yeah, Steven
Shannon
Adams.
or Steven
No.
Adams?
Those are the two. Those are two very big dudes. The two of them in a very different way.
Watch the clip. I've never seen one person move another person like this. Steven Adams, the trainer, tried to stop him. Steven went. Watch the initial clip, because Steven Adams is moving real grown men like chess pieces out of his face. They're like, Steven, stop. He's like, boop, boop, and like, get out of my face. And like,
No,
moving.
he's so big.
Dude, he's so strong. I don't know what weights he lifts, because he's not he's shredded. That's just like, does he just wrestle things?
No, he's just a big dude.
I feel like he squeezes the water out of palm trees.
Is this about Steven Adams? Or
I don't know
what
he's. I don't know. I was about to address this. So okay. One. This is what I say. Even when I had a little disagreement with Shannon is a professional. He really is, and I think in the moment, it escalated really quickly, even though they were kind of talking shit back and forth, blah, blah, blah. And he, just whatever. I think he regrets it, obviously, because that's not who he is. Like, from that standpoint, like, he's not like, he's a sports fan. Like, this is what he does for a living. So, like, for him to get into it, I think that part he's probably embarrassed of. He is embarrassed. It's like, dude, like, I can't be one of those fans that's having, like, altercations with like players and shit. Like, I think that part sucks. As far as the entertainment side of it, the shit was hilarious. The shit was 100% hilarious. Like, he didn't do anything like in that moment, but it's just like, when you're in those first few rows, there's a level of respect. There's a level of just kind of like security that you know what I'm saying? Like, when people put you in those seats, they expect you to behave in a respectful manner. And so, like, to not, that's the part, because now the whole arena is watching you. So
Richard, can I say this? Number one, the Memphis Grizzlies talk easily the most shit of any team in the NBA. It's not even close.
Yeah. They talk the most shit of any team, but not more shit than teams that we fucking, the Pistons,
totally.
or
so
like
here's my
the
point.
Boston
Yes,
Celtics.
now, here's my point. If you and a fan, I knew players that when they weren't having a good game would pick a fan and start talking shit to them to get themselves going. So like the interaction sometimes, especially a player like, or a person like Shannon, because Shannon's not going to do anything, right? Because he's not a Joe Schmo off the street. He's a media guy. He's a big fan. Like, what do you think Reggie was talking to Spike? Like, what do you think those conversations were like? And they let that go, whatever. So why are you being sensitive that, like, one fan is talking shit to the one player and they're going back and forth, right? It's not going to do it, especially a player like Shannon, right? To me, I say let it ride. To me, you have to let that ride because I think number one, it's entertaining. Number two, it shows a level of like intensity where people are like, well, nobody cares about these games. But like if you have certain fans that are just like, I think if Dillon Brooks hadn't said just flat out, fuck you, you're a bitch or whatever he said to him, I don't know, whatever he said. I think if Dillon Brooks were actually like talking shit, like, man, you ain't doing nothing, Unc, and blah, 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 and we're about to bust their ass, it probably would have stayed a little more cordial. But I don't know, telling a 50-year-old man built like Hercules, shut the fuck up. Like, he probably got kids and shit. So, for me, there has to be some type of cadence of shit talking because that's also fun part of the game.
So, at the end of the day, you almost blame the Grizzlies. Like the Grizzlies should not engage with them. And again, even if you know who the fan is or isn't the fan, walk to your locker room. When everyone wants to start coming over and turn it into something else, no. The Grizzlies, in my opinion, were like, I don't want to say wrong because I'm not going to tell. I'm not going to tell people how to. I'm not going to tell people how to emotionally react. But as a team, and there's a fan chirping, like as long as he ain't crossing a boundary, right? And let it go because they talk more shit than anybody else, and that's great. We like it. But it's like, don't have a fan there. Then you walk towards the fan and start engaging him and doing all now like he's embarrassed from the way it escalated, but they should be embarrassed from the way like you guys try to turn this into like a little bit more of a spectacle. Y'all gonna try and fight a fan. Forget that it's Shannon Sharpe.
I do want to be fair. I do want to be and I do want to be fair with to both sides, obviously, and give just at least what Shannon told Dave McMenamin, what was reported, because then I do have a question in terms of, the level for which Shannon is in the media space, et cetera, from your point of view. But Shannon said at halftime, he told Dave McMenamin, they didn't want this smoke, Dave. They do all that talking and jockeying, and I ain't about that jockeying. It started with Dillon Brooks. I said he was too small to guard LeBron. He said, fuck me. I said, fuck you back, which is my favorite part of all of this. He said, fuck me. I said, fuck you back. He started to come at me and I said, you don't want these problems. And then Ja came out of nowhere talking. He definitely didn't want these problems. Then the dad came and he obviously didn't want no problems. But I wanted anything they had. Don't let these fools fool you now. I do want to ask, because I know that there were some people on social media right after it happened, does the NBA do something about this because of Shannon being in the media space? And again, Shannon has handled everything the way he did yesterday, obviously apologizing, etc. This is not him. I just wondered, because of the comments then that came from Dillon Brooks, calling him a regular pedestrian.
I love it. Troll.
If there is a difference between...
Hey, listen. No. Listen, you're on the basketball floor. They're not on a football field. They're on a basketball court. And on a basketball court, he is a regular civilian because that's where he's sitting. Okay, so you do. That's who he's talking to. And I don't mean that to be disrespectful. We know how great he is. That's undeniable, right? One of the greatest, probably like American athletes of all time across all sports to do with such a specimen. But like, let's make no mistake. The minute he puts his foot on that hardwood, he's a pedestrian, right? Like, and that just has to be your approach, right? Like, and that's not like it's a funny shot, but like we don't view that as like disrespectful. It's like you can't do what we do. Like I can't do what you do, but you can't do what we do. So sit your ass over there and enjoy the show. Shut the fuck up, right? Like
see that type of shit talking. I like.
Yeah, like
I remember Ron Artest. So we were in Sacramento. This when Ron was in Sacramento, and this one fan was talking to him, and I was on the Knicks, right? I think that's when I was Knicks or the Blazers back then. And I remember this fan said something to Ron, and he was like, "Hey, what time is your mom gonna get home?" The guy's like, "What?" He's like, "Yeah. What time is your mom gonna get home?" He's like, "What the fuck are you talking about?" He goes, "Yeah. I got her panties. She left her panties in my locker."
God gracious.
So then him and this dude started going at it. And then Ron was like, "That's all I needed." I was like, "No, that's not all you needed. No, I don't want this. Like, shut up, fan." But he just picked the dude and just started saying like just crazy shit to him to get him going. And I was just like, dude, this is amazing. Like, dude, it's amazing that I still remember that. But yeah, like, dude, a fan talking shit is just like, as long as it doesn't cross the line, you're not gonna go fight him. right? To go fight
That
somebody
was the
for
part. That
talking
was the
shit
part
is-
that was just like
it's
that was the part
come
like,
on,
bro,
man,
it's
stop
halftime.
it.
It's halftime. What do you like? That's the part where like, look, I think
Win the
both
game, and
parties,
you lost.
both parties have some blame in this, and I understand both sides. But the minute you start going to engage a fan, a pedestrian, man, just keep it put. But I will say this: I guarantee the NBA had a conversation. The NBA, I like, listen, bro.
Oh,
Like, well, yeah, like I bet you
They had a conversation because it was a media member,
like,
or they had a
I don't want.
conversation
I'm not saying
because.
yes, because but I think part of it is because of who he is, and like that's part of like again, I'm making this up, but I imagine how I have seen the NBA work in the past.
oh,
I've seen the NBA where they're like, hey, we'd like to review the incident, because they review the incident even with other people, and then they'll make a decision. So if they review the incident and it's like, hey, listen, Shannon, like this, this type of stuff, you can talk, you can go back and forth, but I imagine they were like, this shit can't ever happen again, bro.
yeah. Standing up and telling them to come over here and come get some of that smoke with that cardigan, it's, probably ain't the best.
Did you see the way he looked in that cardigan, though? He was just like,
Doug.
Shout out to his stylist.
He's a big dude. I need to get on his program.